I'm sure you've all heard the expression, necessity is the mother of invention. What an interesting idea and an interesting concept. We're going to spend a little bit of time today talking about that idea, talking about how necessity can actually drive technology innovation and can move technology forward during times of a crisis. In addition to necessity is the mother of invention, this is another one of my favorite quotes. Great challenges offer the greatest rewards. How we meet them reveals the truth in all of us. This exact poster has hung on my wall for more than 25 years, as I truly believe that in times of crisis, in times of great challenge, most of us will rise to the occasion and will see a great number of innovations and problem-solving initiatives that come out of those difficult, challenging times. I want to take a few moments today and just talk through why that is and how we can expect to see some interesting technology innovations continue to come out of this time from COVID-19. There are a lot of reasons why technology can help uniquely in a crisis, and I wanted to review just a few of those with you. These are from an article the World Economic Forum posted back in 2018, really talking in general about any sort of global crisis. But obviously, some of the key benefits and unique aspects of technology are that technology can go anywhere and technology can go where people cannot. That allows us to save lives and put fewer lives on the front line at risk. In addition, technology can break down barriers to enable connectivity and provide connectivity where people need it the most. I think another really compelling purpose for technology in terms of a crisis is that it allows us to communicate both digitally via social media and in other channels which are relatively strong across the globe. These are great ways for us to communicate the things that need to be communicated to a global society. And last but certainly not least, we can create big data analytics. We can use information architecture. We can use artificial intelligence. We can use machine learning to gather data about a global crisis, which really helps us measure and monitor what we can for creating better solutions for disaster response. So let's take a look at a couple of specific examples. One of the first things I wanted to talk through was how technology and innovation go hand in hand during times of economic downturns. There are several different theories or ideas around this that I just want to put out there for you. The first one from Joseph Schumpeter, who's an Austrian political economist who basically coined the phrase creative destruction. And he believed that economic crises really give rise to that creative destruction. Creative destruction is simply the process of dismantling several different processes that you have in place today so that you can look at the pieces that make up the whole and put those processes back together in a more effective, efficient, and innovative way. We also have the British economist Christopher Freeman, who really found evidence that innovations accelerate during economic downturns. And some of the reasons for that are that during those times, innovative leaders will recognize that they could use this downturn to leapfrog competitors. Instead of staying status quo, an economic downturn gives them an opportunity to really push their innovation strategy forward. And in many cases, those leaders are more willing to take risks and explore new ideas during this time because they're not as worried about losing the momentum that they've built or as worried about missing numbers or losing their jobs. In addition to economic downturns in general, I'd like to take a look at some specific events and the innovations that came out of those events. Obviously, a key event for all of us was September 11th. September 11th was a day that our country will never forget. And as we look to the positive aspect of that day, we see that innovation really did come out of that event. Innovation is very much focused on ways that we can solve particular problems that arose. And in this case, we were very much focused on making sure that we were never, as a country, attacked like this again, or if we were, we could recover more quickly. This all makes perfect sense. So when you look at the different areas of innovation that came out of September 11th, they were very focused on things like improving airport security, using enhanced video surveillance. And as we talked about in terms of a global crisis, really using social media and a mobile presence to help people feel more informed, more connected, and to communicate more effectively as a country. We also saw some enhanced data mining that came out of this particular day, and that has really helped us to grow things like facial recognition and create some data mining algorithms that allow us to potentially predict bad behavior for the future. And those are the types of things that will help ensure that this never happens to us again as a country, or if it does, that we can certainly recover more quickly. Another really interesting specific example that came out of September 11th was iRobot. We all know them today as Roomba, and you probably have lots of them running around your house. I know from several people that have those, they tend to work very well. But initially, Roomba was really developed for bomb demolition purposes to help keep the front line safe while iRobot could go in and dismantle or destroy those bombs. So interesting way that that actually came about, and just a great example of how innovation that started as something specifically focused on making us more secure as a country and saving those front lives also can then be transformed into something later. And obviously we saw the rise of unarmed aerial vehicles, which we continue to see today. In any discussion on how innovation is driven through crisis times would not be complete without a discussion of our current crisis, COVID-19. Just as we saw technology innovations in the area of national security during September 11th, I believe that COVID-19 will bring about incredible innovation in terms of healthcare. The first place where we're seeing this is in telehealth. Telehealth, which up until this point had not seen widespread adoption, is gaining huge ground during this time of pandemic. There are obviously a lot of great reasons for that certainly tie back to what we talked about earlier from the World Economic Forum. First of all, telehealth allows us to protect our frontline workers. It allows those who are trying to help heal not be as exposed to the virus unless they know what they're looking at in this particular patient. But more importantly, telehealth expands the availability to care. So for older Americans, for more rural citizens that just don't have the same availability of care as someone living in a bigger city, telehealth gives that ability to have the same level of care to everyone. As we already discussed, it absolutely protects both the patients and the frontline healthcare workers because it limits their exposure to each other and the risk of spreading that virus. Telehealth also follows the government's guidelines of social distancing. The more people that you put in a room together, the harder it is to keep that social distance and to ensure, as we said a few moments ago, that they're not spreading the virus to each other. Potentially, we can also use telehealth to increase physician supply. We can utilize physicians all across the country to better create that access to care and to load balance, if you will, some of that geographic need. We can also use some of the quarantined healthcare professionals to help staff our telehealth initiatives during this time. So for all of these reasons, I think we've seen a big adoption of telehealth, and I think it will continue. The image of, tens or hundreds of people sitting in a doctor's office or waiting in an ER because they believe that they have been infected by this virus is an image that we absolutely do not want and are working so hard to prevent. And I believe that telehealth is a key weapon in that fight. These reasons are just a few of the many reasons that telehealth is becoming much more widely adopted, is being much more widely accepted from all types of insurance companies, including Medicare, and that's really going to help drive this forward. Our hope and our goal is that this will continue to grow in adoption even after this current crisis is over. But I truly believe if we were not in pandemic times, we would still have a ways to go in order to see the adoption of telehealth. And we can absolutely see during this time the potential and the power of this technology solution as we look forward to our future of healthcare. Telehealth is just one key innovation, an expansion of an innovation that we're seeing during this time. There are several others that I think we'll see expand during this time and into the future. Just a key couple of examples. We're seeing drones now providing indoor disinfection. What an amazing use of drones. In addition, I think we'll see more drones delivering packages, delivering food, and as that has been pushed forward, we'll see much more adoption of that into the future as we continue to try and find ways to meet the needs of our society in a social distancing era. We're also seeing new ways of making ventilators and masks. I've read so many stories of people with home 3D printers creating those masks and trying to find ways to create and print ventilator parts that can be used. That's an exact example of how great challenges offer the greatest rewards. There's also a lot of technology being developed and put in place around constant temperature monitoring, including advances in remote monitoring, so a healthcare professional can monitor a patient's temperature and several other key aspects of that patient care without ever entering their room. And that's really going to help, again, keep our frontline healthcare workers safe during this time. We're also seeing the rise of different technologies that help improve inventory, automation, and checkout. So obviously, as we all know, we have to run to the store first thing in the morning to make sure we can find our toilet paper. But as we release additional technologies around inventory automation, we should not see that type of a situation in the future. And last but certainly not least, we're seeing so much technology innovation around medical training opportunities. How do we get those who are already in training to become a nurse, a doctor? How do we help them get that training more quickly and in some cases more specifically in the key areas of need? And technology is playing a huge role in doing that to ensure that we can continue to meet the needs of our healthcare environment during times such as COVID-19. So in closing, I just want to remind us that great challenges offer the greatest rewards, and how we meet them reveals the truth in all of us. I think we've seen through some of these examples and some of this discussion that challenging times and crises really do bring out the best in people. And as people look to find new ways to solve problems, to create efficiencies, and to help care for others, we will continue to see innovation and technology innovation driven through these times. Thank you.